There is no such thing as a small habit. There are only small minds that fail to see the compounding effect of private decisions. Success, in its purest form, is not built in boardrooms or on battlefields. It is not a product of extraordinary luck or momentary brilliance. It is the inevitable result of consistent, conscious patterns of thought and behavior reinforced over time, in solitude, under pressure, without applause. And every man, whether he admits it or not, is a creature of habit. You are not the product of your potential. You are the sum of your repeated actions. If you would truly change your life, do not start with grand dreams. Start with the patterns you tolerate when no one is watching. Start with what you allow, what you repeat, what you excuse, and what you avoid, because it is not the mountain that breaks the climber, it is the pebble in his shoe. And so it is with life. Small habits form the roots of unstoppable success or lifelong mediocrity. I speak now not to the crowd, but to the serious few, the builders, the ones who no longer seek inspiration, they demand responsibility, the ones who are tired of theories and thirsty for mastery. If you are one of them, then listen not with your ears, but with your will. Let me give you the truth plainly. If you do not govern your habits will govern you. And most people live on autopilot, their mornings, their thoughts, their emotional reactions, all scripted by yesterday's impulses. They wake with chaos, scroll with passivity, speak without thought, and wonder why life never bends to their will. But it does bend. Life always bends to the disciplined, to the emotionally detached, to the internally directed, to the one who wakes not with noise but with intent, who begins each day with a structure stronger than his emotions, who meets every demand of the day with calm thought, not flinching impulse. Success does not come to the man who moves the most. It comes to the one who moves from the clearest center. And that center is built on habits invisible to the world, but sacred to the self. Let me now hand you the key. Not 10 secrets, not 10 hacks, but 10 small, unshakable habits that, when forged into ritual, will make you unrecognizable in power, clarity, and direction. These are not suggestions. These are laws. And you do not experiment with law, you obey or you suffer. First, rise with order, not emotion. The moment you wake, your mind is vulnerable. It seeks direction. It craves structure. And if you give it freedom before clarity, you will feed confusion. Do not reach for your phone. Do not scroll. Do not consume noise. Instead, command your mind. Rise early. Sit with silence. Breathe. Declare. Write your intentions. Program your state. Because the man who owns the morning owns the day. And the man who owns the day owns his life. Second, repeat your identity until you believe it. Most men think they are who they feel they are. This is weakness. You are not your feelings. You are your focus. Speak who you are becoming daily. Write it, feel it, act it, say it until your nervous system believes it, say it until doubt chokes on repetition. I am calm, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am relentless. This is not delusion. This is programming. And every great achiever was once a man who decided who he was long before the world confirmed it. Third, master your first hour. Your first hour is sacred. What you do with it determines the tone of your entire day. Will you drift or will you direct? Fill this hour with power habits. Silence, reading, training, writing, reflection. Guard it with your life, because if you waste the first hour, you will chase clarity for the next 16. But if you rule the first hour, you will walk through the day untouchable. Fourth, interrupt emotional loops. Emotional momentum is real. One unchecked reaction in the morning can sabotage every decision until sunset. You must master this. Notice the emotional trigger. Label it, pause, and pivot. Do not become the anger. Do not feed the distraction. Detachment does not mean apathy, it means sovereignty. Observe the emotion, but do not serve it. And every time you choose response over reaction, you reinforce the mind of a king. Fifth, eliminate one weakness daily. Growth is not addition, it is subtraction. Remove one distraction, cancel one excuse, silence one doubt, break one pattern. You do not become disciplined by doing more, you become disciplined by removing what dilutes you. Weakness hides in comfort, and comfort is fed by unconscious habits. Kill one every day. That is how you become strong by subtraction, not sensation. Sixth, commit to one hard thing without negotiation. Discipline is a muscle, and it must be trained daily, not with what feels good, but with what forges you. Choose one non-negotiable daily. A workout, a cold shower, a writing session, a silence fast, something difficult, something inconvenient, something the old self would avoid. And do it, especially when you don't want to, because every time you do, you bury the old self deeper in the grave where he belongs. Seventh, think before you speak. This is not a moral suggestion. This is a tactical advantage. The undisciplined man speaks to be heard. The master speaks to move. Before you speak, pause. Ask, does this build? Does this bind me to old energy? Does this reveal discipline or desperation? The calm man controls the room not because he speaks more, but because he wastes nothing. Let your words be like currency, rare, strong, and well invested. Eighth, reflect with precision, not emotion. Most people journal their chaos. You must document your clarity. End each day with reflection, but not just how did I feel. Ask, did I act as the man I declared this morning? Where did I waver? Where did I win? What must I remove? What must I repeat? Emotion without structure is noise, but emotion filtered through structure becomes wisdom. Ninth, disconnect to realign. The mind, like the body, needs recovery, not through distraction, through disconnection. Once per week, unplug, no phone, no noise, just silence. Walk, think, feel the weight of your soul without interference. You cannot hear your vision when you're drowning in voices. Solitude is not luxury, it is necessity. And the man who fears being alone has never met his higher self. 10th, end the day like a warrior. Do not drift into sleep like a slave. Close your day with intention. Plan the next. Speak your affirmations. Visualize your future. Thank your Creator. Declare your loyalty to discipline. Sleep not as escape, but as preparation. A warrior does not sleep to hide. He sleeps to sharpen. And the man who ends his day with power will rise with purpose. 10 habits, small to the world, revolutionary to your destiny. If you obey them daily, religiously, relentlessly, you will become what others only write about. Not because of talent, not because of motivation, but because of structure. Because you built a mind that does not flinch, a system that does not break, a routine that does not depend on emotion. You will become unstoppable not in a moment, but through mastery. Quiet, disciplined, detached mastery. And the world will try to distract you, to insult you, to delay you, but they will fail. Because you are no longer reactive, you are no longer fragile. You are no longer a man hoping for success. You are a man becoming it daily, invisibly, unshakably. So now, build, and do not look back. The great illusion of life is that greatness is made in public. It is not. Greatness is made in silence, in small, precise acts of inner authority. While others look outward, you must look within. While they seek opinions, you seek clarity. While they chase applause, you chase alignment. And alignment is the quiet, daily execution of habits that the undisciplined refuse to repeat. You are not here to impress the crowd. You are here to master your consciousness. Let us now sharpen the blade of understanding. Every one of these habits is not just a task, it is a mirror, a daily confrontation between who you've been and who you are becoming. The question is not whether you know what to do. The question is whether you will discipline your identity to act in accordance with it regardless of how you feel. Feelings are not facts. You may feel tired. You may feel unsure. You may feel unqualified. But if your actions still reflect the vision, then your feelings are irrelevant. And when the vision becomes more important than the mood, you step into the realm of the few, the self-commanded, the inner built, the outcome-driven. They do not wait for emotional permission. They rise from inner principle. Let us look deeper now at the first principle, rise with order. Why does it matter? Because how you begin is how you proceed. If your first moments are unconscious, the rest will be reactive. If your first words are digital noise, the rest will echo it. But if your first breath is ownership, your first words, declarations of intention, your mind has no choice but to obey the command. And this is not just a psychological trick. It is spiritual alignment. You are telling life, I am ready. I lead, not follow. You are reminding your subconscious, we build today. You are conditioning your body to submit to direction. That single choice not to start the day by accident is the first blow against mental slavery. Next, we move to the second law. Repeat your identity. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is power. The weak man tires of speaking truth to himself. He says, I already know who I am, but knowing is not enough. You must become, and becoming requires rehearsal. Your mind is not loyal to potential. It is loyal to pattern. Whatever is repeated with emotion is recorded as law. So if you repeat fear, you get panic. If you repeat confusion, you get hesitation. But if you repeat sovereignty, clarity, precision, calm, certainty, your mind conforms. The subconscious does not argue. It accepts what is fed to it consistently. So feed it your final form. Not who you were, not who you fear you are, but who you have decided to become. Write it, say it, act it, repeat it, until the old self dies from starvation. Then there is the third habit. Guard your first hour. It is not hyperbole to say that most men lose their life in the first hour of their day. They check the phone and they check their power at the door. They consume noise and wonder why their thoughts are not original. They start with distraction and spend the rest of the day recovering from it. If you truly want to lead, you must reclaim your attention not just once, but ritually. The first hour is not about perfection. It is about control. When you control how you start, you regain your dignity. You restore your direction. And direction, not speed, is what builds legacy. You can be productive and still be lost, but you cannot be intentional and remain small. The fourth habit is emotional mastery. Interrupt emotional loops. Here lies one of the greatest tests of personal power. Can you feel the emotion but not become it? Can you watch anger arise and still choose wisdom? Can you feel the fear and still act from vision? This is the gap that separates the average man from the immortal one. The average man believes his emotions are true. He obeys them, he reacts, he speaks before thinking, he moves without alignment, and when it destroys his results, he blames life. But the master sees emotion as a messenger, not a master. He does not suppress it. He studies it. He does not panic in its presence. He commands himself through it. And this is not coldness. This is precision. Because when a man is calm in chaos, he is dangerous in all environments. The fifth law, eliminate one weakness daily. This is the practice of subtraction. Add nothing new until you remove the old. Growth is not always in doing more. Often it is in doing less but better. What slows you? What noise do you tolerate? What compromise still lives in your calendar, your language, your routine? Identify it. Name it. Kill it. Not all at once, but one per day. One excuse, one lie, one lazy pattern, one unnecessary voice. And as the dead weight falls, your speed increases. You rise not because of motivation, but because you are lighter, cleaner, sharper. Sixth, one hard thing, non-negotiable. Greatness is born in resistance. If your life is too easy, your muscles will atrophy, mental, emotional, physical. You must apply friction on purpose, and not randomly, but through ritual. Choose your pressure. A workout that hurts. A study session that stretches your mind. A moment of silence that strips away noise. The world is designed to sedate you. You must interrupt that program with intentional hardship. Discipline is not forged in comfort. It is sharpened where the old self screams and is ignored. The seventh habit, intentional speech. Your words are your wand. They create, they destroy, they declare who you are. The undisciplined man leaks power with every word. He speaks emotionally, reactively, defensively. But the self-mastered man pauses. He filters. He speaks with thought. Because he knows. Loose lips build weak identities. Speak as if every word is a vote for the man you're becoming. Because at Island, the eighth law, reflect daily with structure. Journaling is not therapy. It is strategy. You are not there to feel better. You are there to extract insight, to see your patterns, to confront your lapses, to record your victories, and to adjust with precision. Ask yourself, did I act from identity? Did I obey emotion or discipline? What patterns did I reinforce today? Then decide, what changes tomorrow? Without reflection, repetition is blind. But with reflection, repetition becomes evolution. The ninth, disconnect, not occasionally, systematically. Noise is poison to vision. You cannot build if you are always consuming. You must detox, unplug, be alone, hear yourself, feel the weight of your thoughts. And within that silence, you will meet your highest self. He will not shout, he will not beg. But if you sit long enough, he will speak. And when he speaks, obey. The 10th and final, end the day with declaration. Do not end passively. Do not collapse. Do not just go to sleep. Declare who you are becoming. Declare what tomorrow will build. Write the plan. Speak the intention. Thank God. Bury the old day with gratitude and rise into rest as a warrior in preparation. Because tomorrow the battle continues. But you, if you build these habits, will already have won it before the sun rises. Your current life is not the result of your dreams. It is the consequence of your standards. And your standards are not what you hope for, or even what you admire in others. Your standards are the minimum behaviors you permit in yourself when no one is watching, when the stakes feel low, when discipline seems unnecessary. That's where your real identity is built in the invisible. So ask yourself, not with comfort, but with urgency, what have I allowed to become normal in my life? Is it normal to wake with chaos? Is it normal to speak without thinking? Is it normal to live without direction? Then understand this. Normal is killing your greatness. You do not rise above the world by chasing motivation. You rise by refusing to tolerate anything beneath your future self. And you do that by applying your habits, not emotionally, but structurally. Not when you feel like it, but until it becomes who you are. You do not need more goals. You need higher standards for your smallest behaviors. Because the man who masters what he does when no one is watching will eventually lead everyone who island. That is how real leadership begins. Not by managing others, but by mastering your own impulses. And your impulses will lie to you daily. They will say, rest now, you've done enough. They will say, you deserve this little comfort. They will say, just this once won't hurt. And if you believe them, even for a moment, you have declared to the universe that your long-term legacy can be purchased by a short-term emotion. That is the great betrayal. The man who trades a decade of power for one moment of pleasure has already surrendered his empire. But the man who ignores the whisper of weakness and instead acts in accordance with the future he has declared becomes unstoppable. Not loud, not arrogant, but deeply, inwardly, unbreakable. And what makes him this way? It is not talent, it is not education, it is not the applause of others. It is the silent integrity of private repetition. The same 10 habits, applied with brutal consistency, will outperform genius without structure every time. Do not ask if the habits are working, ask if you are working the habits. Because the outcome is never in doubt. The only variable is whether you will last long enough to receive it. Now let us speak of the law of invisible, compounding the force behind all greatness. Understand this. The power of a habit is never felt on day one. Day one feels unimpressive. You will sit in silence and hear nothing. You will journal with a dull pen. You will resist the urge to check your phone, and no applause will come. But day one is not where the power lives. The power lives in the days when the habit becomes instinct, when it runs without your permission, when it speaks louder than distraction, when it becomes your identity. You will know you have succeeded not when the habit is performed, but when it feels unnatural to skip it. The man who feels guilty for missing discipline has entered the kingdom of the few. That man no longer relies on motivation. He no longer lives in a tug of war between his vision and his vices. His structure is his safety. His rituals are his refuge. He no longer searches for answers, he becomes them. But here is the truth. Before that man rises, another must die. The man you've been the one who waits, who wavers, who needs proof before faith that man must be buried. and he will not die quietly. He will resist, he will scream, he will negotiate. But you do not negotiate with a past that cannot build your future. You must kill him not with guilt, but with replacement. Replace his chaos with structure. Replace his excuses with repetition. Replace his emotion with execution. And do it every day until he no longer returns. This is the hidden war behind all public greatness. Not between you and the world, but between the old self and the one who is rising. You will not win with bursts of motivation. You will win with consistency that becomes unbearable to the man who wants comfort. Let that man suffer. Let the undisciplined version of you feel the pressure of silence, of solitude, of early mornings and late nights. Let him scream in the absence of dopamine. Let him feel the death of distraction. Because when he dies, your destiny begins. You see, the habits are not about performance. They are about permission, giving yourself permission to become who you were designed to be. Each small habit is a declaration. I no longer live by accident. I no longer obey emotion. I no longer wait for permission to build what I was born to create. You begin to see your morning routine not as a task, but as armor. You begin to see your daily writing not as reflection, but as programming. You begin to see your training, your focus, your pauses before speaking as the sharpening of a sword that few even recognize exists. And that sword is called sovereignty. Not freedom from difficulty, but command within it. You become unshakable not because life gets easier, but because you become harder to move. And that unshakable center is the real goal of every serious man. Not applause, not a number in a bank, but the quiet, unbreakable knowing I control my mind, I direct my thoughts, I design my actions, and therefore I shape my life. That is what every small habit is building, not a result, but a ruler. A ruler over self, over thought, over time. And when you rule yourself fully, daily, ruthlessly, the world cannot help but follow. Let us speak now of momentum, that invisible force that either builds empires or buries them. Momentum is the child of habit. It is the reward of consistency. It is what happens when the mind no longer negotiates, when the body obeys without resistance, and when thought, word, and action move in one direction without contradiction. A man with momentum is terrifying, not because he is faster, not because he is louder, but because he cannot be stopped without being destroyed. And the man who builds momentum through these 10 small habits cannot be destroyed because what drives him is no longer emotional. It is structural. It is spiritual. It is internal gravity. But momentum is not found. It is earned. And the price is repetition in darkness. There will be days when nothing changes. You will rise early, and no one will thank you. You will journal your truth, and no breakthroughs will come. You will train your mind and feel dull. You will execute, and results will be delayed. But do it anyway, because the man who wins is the one who continues long after the emotional reward has disappeared. You cannot build your identity on how you feel. That is the foundation of failure. You must build your identity on what you do, regardless of how you feel. This is the difference between amateurs and masters. Amateurs wait to feel like it. Masters do it until they become it. And when you become it, when your structure outweighs your resistance, then and only then do the gates of compound success open. That is the law. And the law favors the few. The few who rise early, even when no one is watching. The few who sit in silence when the world shouts. The few who build a fortress of mind brick by brick, habit by habit, until no emotion, no distraction, no external storm can invade it. That man becomes invincible, not to pain, but to panic. Not to failure, but to fear. And that is what you are becoming. But understand this. Your future is not in the distance. It is now. It is built only in the decisions you make when you feel weak and act strong anyway. Each small habit is a contract with your higher self. And every time you keep that contract, you build trust in your own soul. You begin to believe in yourself not because someone told you to, but because you've seen your own proof. You've seen the man who wakes up even when tired. You've seen the man who keeps his word even when no one would know if he broke it. You've seen the man who watches his mind, who adjusts his tone, who refines his focus, who commands his response instead of collapsing into reaction. That man is not a myth. He is you built one repetition at a time. So guard your repetitions, guard your input, guard your self-talk, because all of it is programming your default identity, and your default identity is what shows up when pressure arrives. You do not rise to pressure, you fall to your patterns. That is why these habits are not suggestions, they are lifelines. Without them, you revert. With them, you rule. And what does ruling look like? It looks like calmness in chaos. It looks like silence when others seek validation. It looks like steady movement while the world procrastinates. It looks like precise thought while others drown in emotion. It looks like you fully built. The true goal of these habits is not success, it is mental independence. Success is the symptom. Mental independence is the source. It is the ability to think without interference, to feel without collapse, to choose without hesitation, to live from principle, not pressure. That is the rarest thing on earth. A man who does not need the world to behave in order to remain powerful. And you are building that man, not by speeches, not by hopes, but by small habits, executed daily, protected fiercely, elevated endlessly. And here is the paradox. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. The more detached you are from emotion, the more deeply you feel aligned. The more you simplify your actions, the more complex your impact becomes. You are not here to live like the many. You are here to rule like the few, but only if you understand the price. Complete ownership of your inner world. No more blaming moods. No more reacting to critics. No more avoiding silence. You are now the architect. You are now the builder. You are now the standard. So move accordingly. Breathe accordingly. Choose accordingly. Because the life you want is not out there. It is being built or destroyed by your habits today. You began this journey looking for habits, but what you were truly seeking, perhaps without even knowing, was a method to become sovereign over your own mind. Because no habit, no ritual, no system has meaning without authority. And authority, real, personal, self-born authority, is built when every single day becomes a vote for the man you say you are. Not once, not in dramatic moments, but in the dull, ordinary hours where the world isn't watching and your old self whispers, "It doesn't matter." Let me say this plainly. Every time you keep a habit, you bury weakness. Every time you break one, you resurrect it. There is no neutral action. Every movement of your will is building or breaking your empire. The man who cannot see this lives in illusion. But the man who lives by this truth becomes unstoppable because his life is no longer a gamble. It is a mechanism. It functions not on hope, but on precision. Not on hype, but on honor. Not on inspiration, but on identity. And this identity is built entirely by repetition, not just of action, but of belief, of command, of internal narrative. So let us speak now of your internal world, not as a psychological concept, but as a battlefield. Inside your mind are two nations. One is ruled by fear, the other by discipline. And every thought, every choice, every habit you perform either strengthens one or weakens the other. There is no third nation. There is no in-between. You are either in the service of growth or in the service of decline. Decline is subtle. It comes not in one great collapse, but in the habit skipped once, the intention neglected, the voice silenced when it should have spoken. But so is greatness. It is forged not in grand decisions, but in the habit done again, and again, and again, even when tired, even when misunderstood, even when tempted. This is what it means to become elite, not rich, not famous, but untouchable in mindset. And that untouchability is now yours if you will accept one final truth. Discipline is not difficult. It is unfamiliar. It feels hard only because you have worshipped ease. It feels unnatural only because you have practiced chaos. It feels heavy only because your muscles, mental, emotional, spiritual, have atrophied from indulgence. But that weight you feel, it is not punishment, it is the beginning of power. Because every rep of discipline builds a man the world cannot manipulate. That is the final form. The one who does not beg. The one who does not delay. The one who does not require an audience. He does not skip his morning just because no one knows. He does not lower his standard just because the world applauds mediocrity. He does not entertain the old self, because that self no longer lives here. This is who you are becoming. This is why the habits matter, because they are not about productivity. They are about power, not about routine, but about resurrection. A resurrection of the self that existed before the world told you to shrink, before your gifts were tamed, before you were told to wait, to obey, to blend in. The self that rises with a standard, not a script. The self that acts without apology. The self that walks in silence, but whose results scream. And the question now is simple. Will you finish this script and forget it? Or will you use this final moment as a vow? A vow to live the next day and the next 1,000 with such absolute discipline, such deep emotional detachment, such deliberate mental order that the old self suffocates under the weight of your consistency? Let today be the funeral of the man who hesitated, and let tomorrow be the first morning of the man who decides. No more passive days, no more scattered thoughts, no more seeking comfort before clarity. You now know the way. 10 habits, 10 anchors, 10 commands. Rise with order. Repeat your identity. Master the first hour. Interrupt emotional loops. Eliminate one weakness daily. One hard thing, non-negotiable. Speak with precision. Reflect with structure. Disconnect to realign. End the day with power. Embed them into your calendar. Inject them into your bloodstream. Make them your gospel. And if ever you falter, return here. Not to be motivated, but to remember who you became, the day you stopped reacting and started ruling, because that is the day your life began to change. Forever.